Alright, welcome back everyone. Let's move on to chapter 4. The function of the school as an educational facility is very questionable. Our PE class is exceptionally disorganized. The only things we do together are the warm-ups at the start. The teacher isn't even there after that. All we do is play together.
仕方ないじゃん。年齢も性別もバラバラだし。
一応ね、体育の時間は校庭で体を動かすのだけが決まりなの。
All the little kids were gallivanting about. Well, they certainly are being active. They might be getting plenty of exercise, but
きっと教育委員会はこの学校を見落としてるんだろうな。
お待たせしましたです。さてご一同様、今日の体育は何をいたしましょう。
おっしゃ、これでいつものメンバー全員集合だな。
さて委員長、今日は一体どんな体育をやるのかな。やるのかな。
Mion harumphed and crossed her arms haughtily, surveying the area.
瞬発力と持久力。スポーツの世界においては仲間などいない。すべてがライバル。信じられるのは己の肉体のみ。
なんだそりゃ、漫画の読みすぎだろ。
I quipped without missing a beat.
ってわけで、温故知新。古いながらもすべての要素を詰め込んだ屋外乱戦の王様、鬼ごっこで行こう。
It was quite the adorable choice to make after playing it up so much.
望むところですわ。ノロマナケイチさんは家の一番に鬼ですの。僕だって負けませんです。レナも頑張るもの。今日は負けないぞ。
なんでお前らそんなにやる気満々なんだよ。
快速第3条。ゲームは絶対に楽しく参加しなければならない。
じゃあこれ部活なのかよ。
Everyone smirked at each other. They all seemed pretty confident. I'm a man. Physically, I should be able to keep up with any girls my own age. Regardless, Mion and Satoko looked like they were aiming for victory, and Reno was looking at me as if pitying my disadvantage.
上等だぜ。鬼乗ってやらー。
My yell echoed across the school grounds. These were the rules. Anyone who was able to evade being tagged before the bell was a winner. But we didn't switch who was it. The ones who were tagged by it also became it. So the number of people who were it would could increase exponentially. The end game would become a hellish siege.
ここいらではこの遊びのことゾンビ鬼って呼んでるけどね。
なるほど。食われたやつがゾンビ化するからな。
なんでそんな怖いこと言うんだろう。
レナを捕まえたら生きたままお腹を食い破ってやるからな。
やだよケイチ君、そんなのや。
Rika-chan placed her hand on Rena's head. Rika-chan placed her hand on Rena's head as she panicked.
大丈夫です。ケイチに食われる前に僕が優しく食べてあげますです。リカ、それは全然慰めになってませんわ。
Both Mion and I nodded deeply.
最初の鬼、ゾンビはどうやって決める？じゃんけんか？
一応授業時間だからね。問題で決めよう。問題を出すから答えられなかったやつがゾンビ。
I have no idea which grade level they're coming from.
6は英語で。
Huh? I was bewildered by the sudden question. Mion repeated it.
だから答えるの。6は英語で。
6だ。
なら靴下は。
ソックスだね。
アルファベットの後ろから3つ目。
X ですよ。
では性別は英語で。
もちろんわかりますわ。それは
Satoko cut herself off before finishing the answer. I see. It's quite a lewd question.
さとこは大人だもんね。知らないわけはないよね。
知ってますもの。知ってるもん。
じゃあ言ってごらんよ。あれだよ、あれ。あれは英語で。
さとこちゃん困ってる。かわいい。
持ち帰るなよ。犯罪だからな。
If I didn't nip it in the bud, she really might have tried to take her home. Mion's pursuit was relentless, making Satoko stammer. Making me stammer as well.
さあさあ言ってごらんよ、大声で。あれは英語で何という？
知ってるもん。知ってるもん。知ってるもん。だからザットですよ。ザット。え？は。
All of us were a bit surprised by Rika-chan's unexpected answer. I see. Well, it certainly is what that means. That could have been awkward. Wonder what I would have done in Satoko's position. I'd probably get ticked off and just blurt out you-know-what at the top of my lungs. I wouldn't want you as an enemy, Mion Sonozaki. Thank goodness you were born a girl. If you were a boy, you'd probably be a perverted asshole.
仕方ありませんわね。不詳、この北条さと子がゾンビ役を務めさせてもらいますわ。
By the way, in case anyone's wondering, Seibatsu means sex. Just so you know.
みんな食い殺してやりますですな。
Seems like she's raring to go.
100数えればいいんですの？
100数えるのはズルするやつがいるからな。俺の問題が解けたら追ってよし。
圭一くん、簡単なのにしてあげてね。
5分の1のケーキと6分の1のケーキと7分の1のケーキを一皿に乗せました。
分母が違いますですの。
Satoko grabbed his stick in a panic and began drawing a cake in fractions on the ground.
ケーキ1個を60秒で食べられるサトコがそれを全部食べるとお皿にはケーキがいくつ残っているでしょう。
Just as I finished giving the word problem, Mion shouted.
よーい、ドン！
On Mion's signal, everyone but Satoko scattered.
圭一くん、それ問題じゃないよね。
Satoko had already lost the moment she started working it out. She's eating it all, so of course there's nothing left on the plate. Everyone dashed off in a direction they thought was best. Knowing the lay of the land, they probably headed right to the best spots. It was obvious I was at a disadvantage. At a time like this, it would have been more effective to go along with those trained in survival skills. Like Mion, for example. The fact that I didn't realize it at the start of the game probably hurt my chances. Glancing back over the school grounds, I saw Satoko rising up to start. She was really, really mad. She got tripped up on such a dumb question. I stood at one of the corners of the school. I had clear sight lines in two directions and would probably have a good response time if any zombies started closing in. For the time being, I caught my breath and focused on what I was trained to think during club activities yesterday. Now think calmly, Keiichi Maebara. If I was it, what would I do? Increasing my numbers would be the shortcut to victory. Then going after the weakest player first is the obvious plan of attack. Meaning, Me!
さて圭一さんはどこでございましょう。逃がしませんことよ。
But of course. What would be the best method to track me down? Footprints or smell, or maybe some type of trail. If I could craftily hide my tracks, then there would be no trail for Satoko to follow. But I was no detective. Would I even be able to do that kind of thing in an amateur game like this?
どう見た岡村。圭一さんを見かけなかったでございませんこと。
What the heck? Do zombies hunt their prey by asking nicely where they went? Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun pointed to the location where I was hiding. After confirming she was headed in this direction, I abandoned my position. It wasn't easy to hide myself with all those little kids running around as they pleased. It was becoming even more obvious that I was at a disadvantage from not being familiar with these surroundings. If that's how it was going to be, then to confront this intelligence-gathering zombie, I'd just counter it in a similar vein. I approached some girls playing with a ball.
すまんが伝言を頼まれてくれ。北条聡子にご両親が校門に来てるぞってな。
伝言いいよいいよ。
I stopped the girls as they turned to run off.
待て、まだ行くな。あと園崎美音にもだ。先生が校門のところで呼んでるぞって伝えてくれ。
I am quite the schemer if I do say so myself. If things went well, then Satoko and Mion would run into each other at the gate. It would put me at a disadvantage if more people were it, but this is Mion we were talking about. She'd figure out a way to escape. But that was just fine, as long as it bought me more time. Dance for me, Mion and Satoko! In the palm of my hand! Having my fill of playing the con man, I looked for a place to hide. If you think about it logically, I'd only bought myself a scant amount of time. And it might even come back to bite me. Once it became apparent I started spreading false information through messengers, I could end up being the recipient of one of those messages. Satoko would probably ask the messengers to help her look for me. That would mean there would be more zombies than participants in the game. The virus that was brought about by my mischief could cause an epidemic. All my classmates would transform into zombies and would only be searching for me. This tactic might backfire horribly. While trembling at the thought of the impending dawn of the dead, I began searching for a safe house. I found a shed by the incinerator behind the school. After climbing up to the roof, I held my breath. It wasn't a bad place to hold out. Not only did I have a good line of sight, but if necessary, I could jump off in 3 different directions to escape. It was getting rowdy down there. The lower grades were running around below the shed.
いないね、前原さん。そっちいた？
いない。圭一さんどこだろう。お父さんが校門に来てるのにね。
That was definitely a lie. The word gate, the same one I'd used, gave a hint of revenge. So Mion was behind this. I was still keeping one step ahead of the game. I felt bad for my underclassmen, but they'd have to search until the school bell.
ねえねえ、圭一さん知らない？お母さんが急病で大変なんだって。前原さんに伝言だよ。家が火事だから急いで校門に来いって。前原さん家にジャンボ機が墜落したらしいよ。警察が事情聴取に来てるって言ってた。
Anything goes now.
趣味は抱き枕のコレクションなんだって。
How?
夜な夜なベッドで抱きながら寝てるって本当なの？
Who are they talking about?
ふにふにの柔らかい感触がたまんないって。
No way I would do that!
委員長の写真貼り付けたのも貼るらしいよ。
Gah! This was your doing, Mion! Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. This is Mion's battle tactic to flush me out. Just hold on. If my underclassmen thought about it logically, they would know it's all nonsense. But small kids don't think about things logically. To them, all of those things were true. So they all chuckled together while looking for me. I win, Mion! It's my victory! Wiping unrelenting tears away, I felt intoxicated by my own victory.
聞いた。転校生の前原さんって二次元萌えの人なんだって。
The cost of beating Mion had too high of a price. Ah! Oh, someone passed below. That's Rena and Rika-chan.
リカちゃんはまだ無事かな。なんとか頑張ってますです。みーちゃんも鬼になっちゃったみたいなの。
Mion? It couldn't be. She'd become it because of my little strategy? This confirmed that Mion was behind this relentless message war. Then, this wasn't good.
みーちゃんはなんとか巻いたけど、さとこちゃんは。さとこは土管のところを探してますから、ここはしばらくは安全ですよ。
Upon hearing that, I breathed a sigh of relief. While Rena was slumped on the ground breathing heavily, Rika-chan had started creeping up to her. Rika-chan doesn't normally make noise when she walks, but it's strange. It couldn't be.
リカちゃん？何かな？何かな？大丈夫ですよ。
I had never seen Rika-chan smile so creepily before.
なんで近寄ってくるのかな？来るのかな？リカちゃんはゾンビじゃないもんね。怖くないです。僕が優しく食べてあげますです。嘘だよね。リカちゃんがそんな。
Rena was pressed against the wall, and Rika-chan lurched forward with both arms out, just like a zombie. Rena quaked with her back pushed up against the wall. It was quite a surreal scene of horror, like one of those zombie breakout videos you'd see. At that moment, Rena's eyes met mine. Zombie Rika-chan turned 180 degrees, exorcist style, and glared at me.
いた！せいちゃん見っけ！
Mion popped out from behind the cinder block wall around the garbage dump, also seeing where I was. My position was only advantageous when there was one zombie. Being surrounded was not as good.
ケイチさんを見つけたですって？
I could tell that Satoko was rushing my way. It seemed that Rika-chan had let Rena escape, and now she was baring her fangs in my direction.
降りてこい！ケイちゃん！
The three zombies circled the shed, moaning curses.
お前ら怖い！怖すぎる！
ケイチさんの腹渡はどんな味がするのかしら？ケイチさん。ケイチも僕たちの仲間になってほしいです。
誰か助けてくれ！
I saw Rena apologizing to me from across the schoolyard. An apology. Sorry. Leaving me for dead? Rena! I leapt off the road out of fear, slipping as I landed. Satoko and Rika jumped on top of me, and after straddling me, they tickled me all over my body.
やべやべや
ってことは、あとはレナか。チャイムまであと何分もないね。
レナよくも俺を見殺しに。
The feelings of a zombie. I understood how vengeful ghosts with lingering regrets felt.
かわいそうかわいそうです。でもこれで圭一も仲間ですよ。
It felt like I'd been bitten by a vampire and was now one of their thralls. It was a strange feeling, being welcomed over to the side that had pursued me.
ゾンビ鬼なかなか奥深し。
気取ってる場合じゃありませんわ。レナを捕まえるのですの。
校長が廊下を歩いてる。もうすぐチャイムが鳴るよ。
To devour Rena, I, who had been turned into a demon of vengeance, needed to use any means necessary. Except I wasn't just a zombie. I was a master of the night, a vampire! Using the same trick that had tightened the noose around my own neck, I used my classmates to further my evil designs. I gathered up the lower grades from around the school grounds.
みんな聞いてくれ。レナが大変なんだ。今すぐレナを探し出してくれ。
前原さん家にジャンボ機が落っこちたことより大変なの？
Oh yeah, it had turned into that, hadn't it? Myeon whistled nonchalantly, trying to avoid the blame.
ああ、ジャンボ機なんか目じゃないぞ。レナン地に墜落したのはなんと小惑星だ。
小惑星ですって？
ああ、宇宙人が作った装置でロシュ。まさか俺もそこまでやるとは思わなかった。しかも続いて今度は100個も。地球軍の完全な誤算だ。
The lower grades were dumbfounded, their eyes like saucers at the grand turn of events.
地球軍って私たち宇宙人と戦争でもしてるんですか？
このままでは地球は壊滅だ。しかしレナの放つ音速のマッハレナパンチなら小惑星を全て迎撃することができる。そう地球軍のトップエース、それがリュウグウレナなのだ。
The lower grade students all gulped. It seemed I'd made them fully understand that the fight for Earth was lost without Rena.
さあチレ、どうし諸君、レナを探し出すのだ。
My comrades in the lower grades let out an enthusiastic cheer and dashed off in various directions around the school grounds. There was still one person who hadn't gone.
でもたとえレナさんでも月を押し戻すことなんてできる？
心配無用だ。つい先日もレナは地球に激突するはずの水星爆弾を一つ弾き飛ばしている。小惑星の100個や200個くらい音速。
リュウグウさんってすごいんだ。
I'm so sorry that I keep skipping parts of the voice clips. Satisfied with that, she also rushed off to look for Rena. It does seem like there are some promising up-and-comers amongst the youngsters.
ケイちゃんの才能をおじさんは改めて知ったよ。
It didn't really feel like she was complimenting me, but whatever.
しかし圭一さんもやるでございますわね。これは頼もしいですわ。
でもこの人数なら勝てる。これだけいれば勝てるよ。
圭一はゾンビに立候補した方が良かったと思いましたです。
Rika-chan's words stung a bit, but I'd let it slide for now. Not even Rena would be able to escape the entire class. As a result of everyone's thorough search, Rena was finally cornered in the back of the sports equipment shed.
怖いよみんな。圭一君まで怖いよ。
It probably was scary being chased around by the entire student body. All the lower grades closed in on Rena, saying she was the only one who could save the world.
みんなが何を言ってるのかわかんないよ。レナはパンチで小惑星なんか破壊できないよ。
レナ、さっきはよくも見捨てたな。覚悟はできてるだろうな。
ねケイチくん。だって仕方なかったんだもん。おとなしく食い尽くされるでございますの。みんなで仲良しですよ。
さあレナ、念仏でも唱えな。
Rena had stumbled onto a mat, trembling, with tears in her eyes. I closed in, associating this situation with a similar, particularly immoral one made my pulse quicken just a little bit. Satoko and Rika-chan were both wiggling their fingers. They probably wanted to tickle Rena. Rena, wanting no part of what she knew was about to happen, went stiff with fear.
ケイチくんはみんなみたいなひどいことしないよね。しないよね。
さあどうかな。さて覚悟は決まったかな。
いいよ、ケイチくんなら。
The face she made as she resigned herself to my fate made my heart skip a beat.
ケイチくんはひどいことしないってレナ信じてるし。
Ah! Body won't move! That had to be some sort of anti-zombie mantra. The second my sense of reason chimed in, the beast inside me died instantly. There was the bell. Game over.
やったやった、生き残ったよ。わーいわーい。
Rena pranced around merrily as if the curse had been broken.
あとわずかのところで日光が差し、悪のゾンビ軍団は廃人と帰したか。ヒロインが生き残るのは映画のお約束だもんな。
何を気取ってるのですの。ケイチさんがもたもたしてるから。お仕置きしますです。
I was subdued by Satoko and Rika-chan and once again sentenced to death by 100 tickles.
許して。
じゃあ生き残ったでしょうは竜宮レナと園崎美音。イエーイ。
あれ、みーちゃんゾンビじゃなかったの。
ふりしてただけ。敵を騙すには味方からって言うじゃん。
うおー、ミオンてめ
はいはい、急いで着替えないとね。次の授業に遅れんなよ。
離せサトコ、リカちゃん。いやー
Having had my fill of being terrified to my very core by club activities, I solemnly swore I would have Mion crying for mercy next time. After arriving home, I quickly made preparations to head out once again. I had agreed to meet with Rena to dig Colonel Randy out of that mountain of treasure from before.
母さん、うちに軍手ってあるかな。あとタオル。
表の物置の中になかった？タオルは洗面所ね。
All right, now I was all ready. Looking at me, my mom stared quizzically.
何ケイチ、すごいいでたちでどこへお出かけ？
If they come to dump again illegally, he'll be buried completely and it'll be impossible to dig him out. And if that happens, Rena will undoubtedly go after the Colonel Randy in front of the fried chicken place in town.
ちょっと発掘に。クラスメートを犯罪者にしないために。
はあ、あまり遅くならないようにね。
Mom returned to the kitchen with a puzzled expression still on her face. Cutting through the woods as a shortcut to the dam site, I ran into someone. It was Tomitake-san, probably taking pictures of wild birds again with that precious camera of his. It couldn't be that all he took pictures of was handsome young men in the twilight.
いやー久しぶり。圭一君だったよね。
どうもその説は。
I expelled the rude imagery from my head and greeted him without inciting anything.
そういえば彼女は君の知り合いだよね。
He was probably talking about Rena. Guessing by the way Tomitake-san was shaken up.
あれは一体何だったんだい。彼女が不気味のナタを持って歩いてるんだよ。それもニヤニヤと笑いながら。
That was Rena, without a doubt. I expect that she was grinning in anticipation of taking Colonel Randy home.
身に危険を察して隠れたけど、警察に電話した方がいいんじゃないかな。
Well, it certainly would be quite the spectacle for a girl of her age to be roaming around with a hatchet. Tomitake-san's reaction was the epitome of logical.
いいんです、いいんです。ほっといてください。また犠牲者を探して徘徊しているだけですから。
Tomitake-san was alarmed by my crass response. Well, it's probably hard for normal people to understand Rena. I'll just toss out a bunch of baloney.
富武さんがここで殺されたら、多分犯人はあいつです。せいぜい嗅ぎ回らないようにすることですね。
With a condescending smirk, I started off in the direction of the dam site where Rena was waiting. Before I got too far, Tomitake-san abruptly called out to me.
圭一君、それよそ者の僕への警告のつもりかい？
I didn't mean it that seriously. I did try to make it obvious, but...
せいぜい気をつけることにするよ。
Leaving only those words behind, Tomitake-san turned around and left. I didn't really mean to call him an outsider. I wasn't really implying anything when I said that. It was only meant to be a joke, but it felt like I'd said something bad. I understood what Tomitake-san was trying to say. Somebody gallivanting about while waving a hatchet around certainly would seem dangerous.
ナタは鞘とかをかぶせて持ってこい。無気味はさすがにまずいだろ。
なくしちゃったみたいでないんだもん。
Thinking about it, there really was no need to try to keep up appearances. Everyone in Hinamizawa probably already knew about Rena's eccentricities. She's probably the only person who could carry a hatchet around Hinamizawa and not be considered suspicious.
まあいっか。今日で決めるぜ。最後の針をぶっ壊せば引きずり出せるはずさ。準備万端。任せとけ。
I took the hatchet from Rena and made my way up the unstable slope.
待っててね、ランディ君。今圭一君が助け出してくれるからね。
よっしゃ下がってな。一気に蹴りをつけてやるぜ。
Sorry. A solid thwack rang out through Hinamizawa, as if the job was being done by a lumberjack.
どう？うまくいきそう？無理そうだったら無理しなくていいよ。
ここさえ折れればあとはなんとかなる。今日は気力も充実。いける。
But this adversary was more formidable. But this adversary was more formidable than I expected. First of all, I'd never used a hatchet before. During a school camping trip, I had wanted to split the wood, but I lost at rock, paper, scissors and wasn't able to do it. Because the spot where I was standing was so unstable, I soon became tired and decided to take a break. Rena had already spread out a tarp and laid down some tea and sweets.
大丈夫。もう一息。今夜レナが寝るときにはランディ君にお休みのキスができるようになってるさ。
ありがとうランディ君。お休みのキス。
そういえばレナも転校生だったんだろ。前はどこに住んでたんだよ。
I asked her nonchalantly while drinking tea. That was probably supposed to be a continuation of the previous sentence, but whatever. Just ignore my intonations and shit. Meh. I had thought she'd lived here all her life.
お、関東の方だよ。ここほどじゃないけど、やっぱり田舎だったかな。
なんで引っ越してきたんだよ。ひなみ沢に。ほら、ここって結構田舎だろ。
ケイチ君はなんで引っ越してきたの？お父さんの仕事と関係あるのかな？
うちの親父がアトリエを移したいって言い出したんだよ。こういう山奥がいいって前々から言っててさ。
アトリエ？ケイチ君のお父さんって芸術家さんなの？
風景画ばっかり描いてる。年に2回くらいはどっかで個展を開いてるらしい。
When he started, his works were displayed in an industry plaza in Tokyo, but now they're exhibited in the Makuhari Messe. Messe? I don't know how to pronounce that actually. He's determined to have them displayed in the waterfront international exhibition hall. I cannot read right now.
それってすごいね。今度レナにも見せてね。
I was too embarrassed to tell her that I didn't really know what kind of pictures my father painted. Well, eventually I would. I picked myself up while giving some vague answers.
でも楽器途中の転校だったんでしょ？大変じゃなかった？
別に都会ってのには飽きてたし。
I was trying to get answers from Rena, but I ended up being the one giving out all the answers. With a bit of a wry smile on my face, I grabbed the handle of the hatchet and headed back to the work site. The air grew colder as the sun slowly set. The Higurashi began their song, as if to tell me to stop and head home for the day. Just a bit more. Today, I would end it. When I first started, I chatted with Rena as I worked, but now I didn't have that luxury.
ほら、てめえ、ちくしょう。
I had swung the hatchet countless times today, just like this. Contact. Shards of wood splintered. The assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and pickaxes. I recalled that passage from the tabloid. One hit with something like this would smash someone's head in. Axes and pickaxes are not meant to be swung at people, ever. With one last swing, the beam cracked apart. The weight I put behind the hatchet not only split through the beam, but smashed the statue's shoulder as well. The arm came off with a sickening sound. It clattered down noisily, stopping at my feet.
どうしたの？大丈夫？
ごめん。人形の腕壊しちゃったよ。
なんだ、ケイチ君が怪我をしたんじゃないかって思っちゃった。
I probably had a really guilty look on my face. Brenna said that without a hint of dismay as she smiled.
ガムテープとかでくっつけて、その上に上着を着せるもの。絶対わからないよ。
そっか。じゃあ引っ張り出そうぜ。そっち持ってくれるか。
They still haven't found one of the arms. I laughed dryly at how pathetic I was for considering the arm flopping down and rolling to my feet to be such a bad omen. Both Rena and Mion knew how sickening that incident was, so they pretended that they didn't know. I had looked it up all by myself, and shamefully enough, I was scared.
情けないぜ前原圭一。よっしゃレナ、一気に行くぞ。せーの。
The right time to give 3 cheers. That moment of 2 days of work bearing fruit. He who was brought to Hinamizawa covered in filth to meet his end. Instead, we were able to welcome him back. You're pretty lucky, Colonel Randy. Your new master is a pretty decent person.
わあ、ランディ君だ。やっぱ可愛いよ。
It didn't matter that he was dirty. Rena nuzzled him cheerfully with her cheek. I was dead tired, but seeing Rena's happy face made it all worth it.
じゃあ手伝うから持っていこうぜ。暗くなるとまずいだろう。
そうだね。圭一君、本当にありがとうね。この恩は忘れないね。
恩返しは何がいいかよく考えておくよ。
どんな恩返しだろう。恩返しだろう。
For now, I just hold back my evil cackle. We were ready to take it to her house, but we couldn't go like this. We rolled the statue up in a tarp and lifted him. And so Jack and Jill went down the hill, carrying a human-sized bag and an unsheathed hatchet. I prayed that we wouldn't run into Tomitake-san. If he saw us here and took a picture, we'll need to get rid of him. Lol. I can't believe they fucking put lol there. Is that meant to be a warning for an outsider like me? Something struck me as odd about the words Tomitake-san, unable to grasp my sense of humor, had left behind. That's the end of chapter 4. We only got one tip to read this time.
レナがいないです。圭一は知りませんですか？
あれ、たった今までそこにいたのにな。おいミオン、レナはどこ行ったんだ？
レナ？お手洗いじゃない？覗きたいなら止めないけど通報するからね。
I hadn't heard anything about that.
さとこ、レナを知りませんですか？レナさんですの？さっき廊下ですれ違いましたよ。レナさんは日直だから花壇にお水をやらないといけませんので。
ああ、レナが日直か。そりゃお疲れ様なことで。
Rena. Upon hearing it repeated, a thought came to mind. It's weird to say this about someone's name, but it was a weird name. It was like some foreigner's name.
レナってどういう名前なんだろうな。レナって漢字だとどうなるんだ？
レナはあだ名なのです。ちゃんとした名前がありますですよ。
え、そうなのか？俺はてっきり竜宮レナってのが本名だと思ってたよ。
まあ確かにレナさんとしか呼んでませんから間違えるのも無理はないですわね。
She even signs her name as Rena. It's like it's her real name in school.
本当の名前はなんて言うんだろうな。レナが戻ってきたら聞いてみるから。
Satoko and Rika-chan looked at each other.
聞かなくてもいいですよ。僕たちが教えてあげますです。お礼の礼に奈良の名、竜宮レイナが本名ですのよ。
レイナか。それでレイナじゃなくてレナって読むのか？面白い読み方だよな。
いいえ、違いますです。レイナで正しいのです。レナさんが言ったのですわ。レナと呼んでほしいって。だからレナさんなのですわ。
ケイちゃん、 レナはレナだよ。レーナって呼ぶのは他人だけ。そこんとこ分かってるよね。
I understood what Mion was saying. It didn't matter what her real name was, only what names we used between us. Rena Ryugu is Rena. She's nobody other than that.
思ったんだけどさ、自己申請すれば俺も今日からあだ名で呼ばれるのか？
面白けりゃね。なんて呼ばれたいわけ？
越後屋。
Rena then came back into the classroom. One of the juniors near the door told Rena people were looking for her.
あれあれ、誰かレナのことを探してたかな？かな？
Seeing that, both Mion and I sneered.
お代官様、竜宮めがまんまと現れましたぞ。
いちごや、主も悪よな。
何かなケイチ君とみーちゃんが悪代官だよ。いちご屋だよ。
おのれ竜宮レナの助、ここであったが100年目でおじゃる。いざ覚悟。
スケさん、カクさん、懲らしめてやりなさい。あやいさですわ。報酬はスイス銀行に入れてほしいのです。
Since it's come to this, we have no choice. We'll just have a grand battle with 5 people. Rena's fierce punches exploded just as soon as she had shown her seal. The evil that was Mion and myself was vanquished in the end.
レナにはぜひ世直しの旅に出てもらいたいもんだ。永田町なんかどうだ？
ダメだよ。旅先で可愛いものちょろまかすから。
The toll of the bell signaled that break time was over.
ほらほら、ケイチ君もみーちゃんも先生来るよ。
I took Rena's hand and stood up. It was just as the teacher had entered the classroom. Just one more hour. Man, oh man. Gotta buckle down for one more. Alright, that is it for this video. Save real quick. And, yep, I will see you all in the next part. Hope you're all enjoying this. Bye!